basically another topic of concern. No way it is associated with your subcomputing technique or evolutionary computing technique. This is just like Bhelpuri Pani Puri. Okay, so we are going for another new fundamental concept because your what is this name of the course? Subcomputing. So whatever we have discussed in the morning session and with prolonged delay of the morning session, these are evolutionary computation. Subcomputing is mainly your ANN, your fuzzy, all these things are subcomputing. Based on those subcomputing, we are going to do something on information future. So see, why this is important? This information future. Why this is important? What is information? You know information? Okay. Information, either it is a data. Okay. Either the information is available to you mathematically in terms of some data, or in terms of some linguistic variables, or in terms of some coding variables. You know that is information. Sometimes the informations are hidden. Hidden means you are not able to look into the information. Simple example I am giving. Suppose I am showing you an ECG signal. What information is there? Can you know it? It can be known by a doctor. What information lies in the ECG signal? It can be known by the doctor only. But again, suppose the doctor is quite young. Recently he has completed his doctorate degree. So he has done a specialization in that. So whatever information he can see by his naked eye, just looking into that, when he become old, he may not get the same information. So point is, in every signal, some information are hidden. Either it is a biomedical signal, or it is a communication signal, or it is an electrical signal, or it is a mechanical signal. Suppose I am a mechanical engineer or process control engineer, you are controlling the plant, you are controlling the process, you are monitoring the vibration of the machines, you are monitoring the electrical signals, you are monitoring the mechanical signals also by terms of vibration, all other things, you are looking into the signal. So, point is, by looking into the raw signal only, you cannot get much more information. Some information are hidden on the signal, which you people in computer science, you term it as data mining. The data is inside there. What is the purpose of mining? What is the purpose, general case? What is the purpose of mining? Why do we make mining? To find the valuable, whether iron ore or something like that. But if there are mixture of iron ore, your clay, some other things, but from that you have to find what is iron. So something there inside in a mixture, you are interested to find a particular thing, so you are doing the mining. So before mining, what you are doing? You have to make a survey and all other things. That is the thing. So nowadays, the subcomputing technique also comes as a rescue for the data mining purpose. So the whole thing is, something is hidden inside the signal, you have to mine for that. You have to find out that, which cannot be done by a single person. So this particular topic is based on information retrieval. So first thing is to retrieve some information. Okay. Simple example. Suppose I am going to a doctor because I have some problem. When I am going to the doctor, then what I will tell? I will tell him all the symptoms I have. He may ask me what are the symptoms. You may tell sneezing, breathing problem, like that, taking all the symptoms. So from these symptoms, he tries to retrieve some important information. Okay? So that particular aspect, what are the important information? The doctor knows. For that particular doctor is, what are the important information from my recorded speech, whatever I am telling to him. What are the important? He will retrieve. So that is one aspect of information retrieval. So information retrieval is nothing but the important feature extraction from the raw data. You have a set of data. Among those set of data, this is raw data. Some points are useful, some points are not useful. As you know, if you have a signal, the signal is pure, sometimes the noise is added to the signal. So now, it is the duty of the doctor, who is a good doctor, he will retrieve the important features hidden in the signal. That is first part. That once I know that, then what is the second aspect of the doctor? First aspect is the information retrieval. He retrieves the important information from the symptoms. What is the second step? Diagnostic. Okay, intelligent diagnostic. So what is intelligent diagnostic? Among those features, then he has to diagnose. He has to apply some expert system. He has to apply some, because the doctor has his own experience. He has already treated 1000 number of patients of the same caliber or like some different nature. So he must pick up if we are going to a specialist. That is the difference. If I am suffering from some heart problem, why I am going to the cardiologist instead of going from any physiotherapy or something like that? Because he is specialized in that particular area. He has the experience in that. He is expert in that particular field. I am not going to an engineer when my scooter doesn't start. It happened, who is metric fail? Because he is the expert in that particular area. I clear my point. So the expert system, whichever is having with that particular expert. So, what is the job of the expert? From this important feature, you will diagnose what is the cause, what is the problem. How it will solve? Suppose I am going to Dr. X. He is telling me, I have some problems on my heart, let us, some breathing problem or something like that. I am going to Dr. X. Dr. X diagnoses, you have problem. Then I cannot be satisfied, because if somebody tell me you have some heart problem at some young age, okay, in the morning I was old, now I am young. In some young age, then definitely I feel bad. Then I may go to Dr. Y. With the same information given to Dr. Y, he extracts some information by his own means, because whatever the information extracted by X, by the method, may not match with Y, regular method. So he is extracting the information by his own method. He is applying his intelligence technique for classification or diagnosis by his own method. He tells me you don't have any problem. Now where am I? Dr. X, who is MD from AIMS or whatever, telling you have problem. Dr. Y, who also having the same caliber, telling no problem. Now where I will go? What is my conclusion? As a user, what is my conclusion? Then I may go to Dr. Z. He may tell you are 50-50. Then I am nowhere in the world. So what do you do? So the question comes here. Once one information taken from X, one information taken from Y, one information taken from Z or another also, then you have to combine all these information to reach a final conclusion. Otherwise, you can't take a decision what to do. Whether you have disease or not, you are not able to take a decision. So that part is important. That is known as information fusion. How to fuse, how to congregate all the important information to get the final conclusion. This is basically the work done in information fusion. Just for your understanding, what is the work? Okay, where you can apply a lot of subcomputing techniques. Let us see the first thing. This is information fusion. It refers to the field of study of techniques attempting to merge information from different sources despite different conceptual, contextual, typographical differences. See, different problems are different. So 50-50, he is giving you an answer in fuzzy. He is neither taking yes or not telling no, he is taking 50-50. Somebody is telling you yes, 1, somebody is telling in terms of 0. So, information. Suppose I am controlling the temperature of this room. Some tells, okay, the temperature is 45 degrees centigrade. Some tells, oh, it is average hot. So, the information source, whatever you are getting, they are from different sources. Okay, the information are from different sources, they are from different context also, they are also different in concept also. So, how to congregate all of the things? That is the important aspect of the information fusion. The next is the pattern recognition or machine intelligence that we are talking nowadays. Pattern recognition, machine intelligence, that is for classification or diagnosis purpose. Okay. So let us see how to make a classification. I am just giving you a brief idea. I am not going to the deep into the mathematics. If somebody is interested in some area, see, during these 10 days you may cover a lot of area. Okay, whatever your interest or wherever it suits to your application area or wherever you have developed your own interest in that particular area, you go into the detail. So this is just, I think our duty is to tell you what are the new research areas are going on with some little bit background and easy understanding, in my opinion. Because in one day you can't learn NN, you can't learn Fuzzy, you can't learn genetic, you can't learn PSO. But at least when after 10 days or 20 days you will go, you will know that okay, these are the things happening around the world. From where you can choose one or two depending upon your suitability, your application. Okay? So that is the main motive basically in this workshop or training programs or like that. What I understand, I may be wrong, I don't know. Okay. So the first thing is data modeling. So see, either you can create your data to test your algorithm, or you can acquire the data from real-time system. Suppose I am monitoring a machine, simple machine. Of course, I am electrical man, so always I am going towards machine side. Okay. So suppose in an industry there is a 50 horsepower induction motor. So see, a 50 horsepower induction motor, you cannot stop it. It will stop it, the whole plant production will stop. So what you will do? You capture online the voltage signal, current signal, vibration signal, and analyze whether there is a problem when it developed in the machine or not. Similarly, ECG. ECG is recorded continuously. Or EEG. Generally, we are EEG taking from the brain, from different electrodes placing 32 electrodes. We are placing, we are working on that. We are taking the EEG. So lie detector test आपका हो रहा है क्या है? It is the EEG signal which we are taking from different channels of the brain. It will reflect your thinking power, whether you are thinking in some other way and answering in some other way. So that is the lie detector test. So whenever you are thinking something and answering in some other way, there are some abnormal spikes will come in the signal. That is the normal signal whatever you are telling. So from that, they will diagnose. What happens? What is it? So the EEG pattern, the brain pattern, because once you are doing something, every activity is coordinated by the brain. And every part of the brain are responsible for certain activities. So what you are doing, what type of signal we are getting from the brain, that we are going on recording in all 32 channels of the brain. So that is EEG signal. ECG signals, heart related signals, ECG signals we are getting. Okay. So the point is, either you can model your signal or you can acquire your signal from the real time. Okay. Then from those data, I will give you 32 channel EEG signal data. So what will you do from that? So then you extract the important features from that signal. Again, this is quite controversial thing. How to extract the feature? This feature extraction is mainly done by signal processing techniques. Because basically it is a signal. I have to analyze that signal. So that signal can be analyzed with some of the signal processing technique. I don't know whether you are aware of or not. The basic signal processing technique, even if we have studied in your general BTech career, Fourier transform. We apply Fourier transform to a signal to find out different frequency components. Okay, then we go for short time Fourier transform, another enhancement. Then nowadays we are working also wavelet transform. Okay, I can give you a very simple example. What is this transforms? What information this gives? I'll take only 5 minutes. Okay. You might have heard the Mahabharata. Arjun, he has pitched the arrow to the eye of a fish by looking into the water. Isn't it? Can you do this? Yes. Okay. The same thing. Now I am giving you a task. You look into the outside. If all the windows open, you can find trees, very beautiful trees, because this university is full of greenery. Okay. So let a tree is 500 meter away, the last tree which you can see. It looks green, and let there is a parrot sitting on that. Can you find the parrot? Huh? So what you do, if I am giving you that task, you find the parrot. Parrot means it is a little bit of disturbance. I have normal ECG signal. If something happens, a little bit of disturbance will come, which can be visible to naked eye, cannot be visible to naked eye. So now my leaves are green. In that green leaves, there is a disturbance parrot which is also green sitting on that. You have to find it out. I will find. Now the source is, you open the whole window. Look through a larger window. If you are looking through a larger window, you cannot find out, which is Fourier transform. What happens in a Fourier transform? Just I will take 3-4 minutes time, not more than that. Although you are not, somebody are from electronics background also. Yes. it may be interesting for them. So if you are finding out the Fourier transform, what generally we are doing? We are let us finding the Fourier transform of xt. We are multiplying xt with e to the power minus j omega t. That is equal to x omega. So your signal xt is multiplied with e to the power minus j omega t. What is e to the power minus j omega t? Cos omega t minus j sin omega t. Okay, forget. Xt is multiplied with cos omega t, xt is multiplied with sin omega t. So if you are plotting a sine wave, from where to where it starts? It extends from minus infinity to infinity. Sine wave, larger wave. So this wave is of same length as that of your signal. So what happens? A very beautiful example I can give to you. We have done in our 12th class. Resonance here, what it do? So what we are doing? We have a watercolor. We don't know what is the frequency of the watercolor. Then you are taking different tuning for which frequencies are known. Then you are sounding. So wherever the sound is much more, these two matches. Same thing happens in Fourier transform. Or not? See. First I am evaluating x0. What is x0? So omega is 0. E to the power 0 is 1. So it is xt. The summation of xt divided by number of points. That is the average value. That is the DC component. Now you are evaluating x omega. That means you are multiplying your signal with this cos omega. So if your signal is of omega and it is another window of same omega, then the multiplication will give you maximum value. Are you clear my point? Suppose you have a signal of like this. Signal is of omega. You don't know the frequency of the signal, but frequency of the signal is omega. And you are generating this window, it is by j omega t of same omega. So now when you multiply, this gives a positive, this gives a positive. You are getting a better value. When you are multiplying, your signal is omega. You are multiplying it with a window of 2 omega. You gradually go on changing, right? So when you are making 2 omega, like now see, this is your 2 omega. So now what happens? This plus plus is plus. This is plus minus is minus. Plus minus is minus. Minus minus is plus. Take the summation, it is 0. Because your frequency does not match with the window which you have taken. So this is basically the effect. When in FFT, what you are doing? You are creating a window of omega. You are creating a window of 2 omega. You are creating a window of 3 omega. And you are looking into the signal through that way. So when your window frequency matches with the actual frequency present in the signal, you are getting a high amplitude. That is just difference. So in this particular case, when you are looking through a larger window, you may or may not get the disturbance present in that. So people what they do instead of doing that, you just purchase a binocular. 10 rupees, 10 rupees binocular. Footpath में मिलता है ना बच्चे के लिए. If you look into that, then what will happen? You just look from one point, see whether you are able to find or not. Then slide that till the last end cover. So this is the short time Fourier transform. You are finding the Fourier transform through a small window. Then that window is slide. That is short time. In wavelength, this is nothing but hi-fi camera. If you have a zoom camera, in zoom camera what happens? You have different resolution levels, x, 2x, 3x, 4x, like that. So when you are putting x, your image is like this. 2x, the image comes closer. 3x further comes closer. That means it becomes brighter. Now, the parrot will definitely be seen with a larger. Okay, this happens in a wavelength transform. Okay, of course you are not interested on that. I will not go into detail. So the point is, by these digital signal processing techniques, you can extract the important features or the hidden informations present in the signal. Ultimately, you can tell what are the frequency bands, at which frequency bands, at what time these are present. You can extract all those raw information from them. Then you can go to the classification. In classification, we are using the neural network. Either you can use the neural network, simple perceptron, multilayer perceptron, or probabilistic neural network, or learning vector quantization, or support vector meshing. There are different neural networks. Basically, the neural network learns from the experience. So neural network, you have already covered neural network. It learns from experience. As I have my kid, initially is very young, I am teaching how to learn. So it is by the supervision of a master, supervised learning. Or somebody born and brought up in footpath or near railway station, he is also learning. He can learn a flower, this is rose, my son can learn also flower. So that is unsupervised learning, learning from the surrounding, learning from the nature, learning from its own experience. So the learning can be categorized either supervised, that means in the presence of a teacher, or unsupervised learning. So these are the different aspects. You might I am not going into the detail of that. The fundamental, you can apply any of the learning technique for the classification. One thing, what is a good classifier? How to make a good classifier? Now for example, see, I am simply, the total data set you have, you can divide 70% data for training and 30% testing. Once your network is trained with that 70% data, they say, we are learning, this is all. My son is making 30 or 100 times, then he becomes perfect to write a all. So likewise, whatever the training data I have, if I am giving 70% training, then I am testing with 30%, I may get the classifier accuracy. What is classifier accuracy? Whether it is 90% or 100% or 50% of that. But this is not the true way of experience. For example, why? Simple. Suppose you have 10 classes. If there are 1 or 2 classes, that is okay. You can take 70% for training, 30% for testing. Suppose I have 10 classes. Out of those 10 classes, let us up to class 9, each class I have sufficient number. Okay, but class 10, which is a rare class. Suppose I am diagnosing the cancer in the patients. There are some rare disease which is not available, like some rare blood groups that is not available. Similarly, there are some rare cases where you cannot get much more training data. Are you clear? So suppose my class number 10 is having only few training data, 4 or 5, total data 5, 6 or 10. So out of that, suppose there are 5 data, if you take 70%, this 70% out of the whole 100 data you are taking randomly. So those data may be copied for training or may not be copied for training. Are you clear my point? So in that case, suppose those data, there will be no reflection in training, but all are reflected for testing. For that class, you are getting an accuracy of 0%. Because other data from class 1 to class 9 are at least there in training. So you are getting accuracy good. But for class 10, which is very rare, unfortunately during your division of 70 and 30, you are doing it randomly. No? You are not selecting serially or parallelly. So some portions of data are not available. So your network is not trained with that type of data. But unfortunately those data is given for testing for class number 10. It may give you error. So that's why every classification technique is done by a lambda fold cross validation or k fold cross validation. What is k fold cross validation? Now you break up the data into groups of the same size. Suppose you have 10 classes, you have 100 data, 100 of each class, but one class is having only 10 data. So what we will do? So here 10 from all 9 classes and 1 at least from 1 class. Are you clear? So now how many number of data you have? You have, let us, 9 classes, 900 points, and class 1 next 10. This is 10th class. You have only 10 data. So you have 910 data. So इसमें total 910. You will arbitrarily select 70 and 30. So there is a rare chance that among these 930 का 70%, 630, 334, whatever will come out of this 10 data, may only 1 or 2 may be there. But for testing there are 8 or 9. So accuracy will be dropped off. Although you are getting good accuracy for class 1 to class 9, for class 10 you won't get good accuracy. So instead of doing that, what you will do? You break up the data. So how many classes you have? 10 classes. So you break up the data into 10 groups. In each group, now here 90, 90, 90, 90 in each group, and at least 1, 1, 1, 1 in each group. So now what you will do? You leave 1 for training, testing. So इसमें क्या होगा? In this testing now, 10% of each are left. That means 10 from class 1, 10 from class 2, up to 10 from class 9, and only 1 from class 10 is remaining for testing. But how many are used in training? 9. So there already you have used 9 data in the training. Those rare class evenly distributed. Are you clear, my point? You will get now accuracy. Okay. Then what you will do? You go on shifting this one now training. All are testing. So you are testing your classifier now how many times? 10 times. All the data evenly distributed. If you are getting a good accuracy, then your classifier is a good classifier. Are you clear, my point? So first time, first fold testing, accuracy suppose 95. Second fold, accuracy 90. Third fold, accuracy 97. So total 10 fold you have now 10 different percentage accuracy. Divided by 10 is the average accuracy of your neural classifier. Whether the neural classifier is a feed-forward neural network, multi-layer perceptron, probabilistic neural network, support vector machine, Bayesian tree, whatever, fuzzy decision making, whatever classifier. So classifier you can do anything. Okay. Now what I do? I have done one thing. Sometimes this feature space are very high. What is the feature you get? Okay, if you have a large number of features, frequency information features, you have to select the good features. So once you want to select the good features, that is nothing but optimizing the feature. Which features are the best features, so that when I am testing for my accuracy or for my classification, I am getting a large percentage of accuracy. So that selection among of many features, you have to select individual features. What is the normal way? You can make permutation combination. Feature 1, what is the percentage? Feature 1, 2, what is the percentage? Feature 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So if you go on like this, making permutation or combination, it is a huge exploration of time and space. So rather than doing that, we have already studied in the first half some promising techniques, random techniques. Okay, random search techniques. Because out of the 100 features, if I go serially, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, or feature 1 to 100, 1 to 99, only 99, 100. So a lot of permutation combination can come. Instead of doing that, I have to pick up randomly what are the good features for which the classification accuracy will be high. That is done by GA. This thing already we have covered. I don't want to discuss. We have done a problem on this, and this is also recently accepted for the publication in IW proceeding generation transmission distribution. We are doing the path quality event classification. We have some power signals. There may be different disturbance in the power signal. Either because once it is a signal, as some electronics person or somebody know, the signal having some amplitude, having some frequency. Okay, so if there is any change either in amplitude or in frequency or its frequency components, transients, so we are classifying those by extracting important information using wavelet. So in that case, we have the data, we use the GA selected features, then we are using the different classifiers for the classification. This is the results we have reported. Then the information fusion topology, a little bit I am discussing, a multiple classifier. So suppose the same classifier you are doing by PNN. So PNN is your control one. The same classification you are doing by feed-forward neural network, vector 2. Okay. The same classification you are doing by SVM, vector 3. So now what will happen? A particular event, let us characterize by 1, expert 1 as event X. Second one, it may tell event 1. Third may tell event X. Fourth may tell event Z. Fifth may tell event Y. Like so, which is your conclusion? The simple conclusion is the final decision is the combination of the features. What you do? Now see, I have the data. From the data, I am extracting the important features. Same feature, not different feature. Same feature is given to classifier 1 or to classifier 2. So classifier 1 may be your neural network, classifier 2 may be your fuzzy, classifier 3 may be your support vector machine, like that. Then combining you are getting a decision. So this is the concept of multiple classifier input. The other way, different data. Let's say suppose to diagnose a disease, somebody may test blood, somebody may test urine, somebody may test some other things. So now you are extracting information from different sources to diagnose a particular disease or to diagnose a particular event. जैसे कि मैंने बताया ना मोटर का जानने के लिए we have to make the signal electrical signal, we have to make the mechanical signal, we have to make the vibration signal, and we are trying to to gather the information from different signals. So like way there are different data source and accordingly different feature extraction, because here in the previous case same feature is given to us, but here the features are different because the data source are different, so the features are different. They are given to different recognition system, okay, with different features. Then we are, but finally something has happened. The disease is one. One disease may be replicated in different blood samples, in different urine samples, or in different other tests like blood pressure, whatever. Okay, but disease is same. All must give the same result. But so how to get? If they will give different type of result, then how to combine all this? Okay, so this concept is widely used for this classifier. So these are information fusion method. The simple method is your 14. What करूँ? Suppose out of 10 classifiers, 5 classifiers are telling this all are belong to class 1. 3 are telling class 2. These are suppose classifiers. These are classes. Classifier 1 classifies this. Let it is actually the data is class 1. Classifier 1 classifies this to 9. So this class may be 0. This class may be 5. So others are this. I will give my point. Suppose I have 3 classes. Simply. Class 1, class 2, class 3, like class 4. So suppose I am training 100 data. For classifier 1, when 100 data of class 1 is tested, so what will happen? Let it is testing 95, so its accuracy is 95%. So another 5 are not classified as class 1 by the classifier 1. Okay, by the classifier 1, let 2, this is coming 2, this is 0, this is 3. Clear my point? Similarly, you go for classifier 2, same 100. So it may give 96. So that means its accuracy is 96%. So out of the other, it may give this is 3, this is 1. So this is a confusion matrix because here this is the confusion. Okay. So now one confusion is avoided because all 100 are for class 1. But when tested with classifier 1 only tests 95. Another 5 are confused. Okay, another 5 are confused. Confused means giving wrong result. So those 5 are classified in class 2 or class 4. Then here in this case, out of these, 1 corrected. Which corrected I don't know. 1 is corrected, but the other 4 are here. So likewise, you make a confusion matrix. So from that confusion matrix, some manipulation are to be done. That is Bayesian belief. I am not going into detail of this. If you are interested, you can study some literatures on this. And there are some books also by N.R. Pal of ISI Kolkata on this Bayesian belief. You can go through all this. Another simple one is the Boda count method. Then some are making the combine, linear combine. They are combining classifier 1 with certain percentage, classifier 2 with certain percentage, classifier 3 with certain percentage. It is a linear combine. Or you can make your multi-classifier approach. Classifier 1 versus classifier 2, make a parity. Classifier 2 versus 3, make a parity. So likewise, you can make a multi-objective classifier system. These are just the concepts to get, because these are actually the real world problems what we are facing. How to tackle it? Because all the research can be done only in the practical sense, it is not. You can do some good research also theoretically with strong mathematical background. But at least one of my requests to all of my young colleagues, young fellows, that see whatever we are discussing now, the subcomputing technique, the neural network, the fuzzy logic, or the genetic algorithm, or the particle inform optimization, these are just like ornaments. You want to build a beautiful model for the advertising of your company, you don't have to put these ornaments on a skeleton. Where you have to put? You have to put these ornaments on a young, beautiful lady, so that it looks attractive. So that's why my sincere request to all of you, these can be used as a tool, as your helping hand for your research, but your main thing is your basic background on the subject also. Whether you are applying these tools particularly for the field of networking, so you must be strong enough about networking. You have to understand about networking. If I want to apply it to classifier system, multiple classifier like iris, flower data, A data, O data, different data, I have to understand that physically. What happens? What is the importance of this data? Unless I will understand my basic background, the basic platform, unless you have a platform, I can't give you a lecture. I can't give it on this outside. It won't be that much of attractive. Okay, so that's why everything needs a platform. Then you can put these beautiful ornaments. Like PSO and GA, we can put speck on eye, not in hand. So again you have to choose the suitable technique. Where to apply GA, where to apply PSO. ऐसे नहीं कि technique है तो लगा. That's not the way. So that only, unless you recognize the body part, okay, this is eye, this is nose, this is neck, you can't put your speck on the eye. You have to recognize where is the eye, which technique is to be played. So this is one of my sincere request, at least to all of my young colleagues, young friends, those who are carrying out their research plan. First you make platform on the particular research area. Being a solid platform on that, then automatically these techniques will come into your mind. Don't waste much time in these techniques rather than waste more time on your solid platform. This is mostly about the concept of all this. Then you may apply. Once you will make your platform, then you can mold a beautiful thing, no problem. You can apply beautiful techniques. थोड़ा एक गहना ले रहे तो फिर इसमें हीरा डालेंगे या मोती डालेंगे या क्या डालेंगे, हाइब्रिड करेंगे, पीएसओ, जीए, क्या क्या, वो तो बाद में है. But initially you have to make a raw feature of the necklace, and that is to be put on the neck. Okay, so this is regarding the presentation of today.